I want to start with a number. It's a number that, well, it usually makes people just roll their eyes.
Hmm. I think I know the one.
1%. Specifically, that statistic that 1% of the population earns something like 96% of all the money out there.
Yeah, that's the ultimate eat the rich
Yeah,
statistic.
right. And as soon as we hear that, the whole conversation immediately goes to, tax codes, systemic inequality, all that. We just assume the game is rigged.
Which is a fair assumption a lot of the time.
But today, we are looking at a source that argues the game is rigged, just not in the way you might think.
No, not by governments or banks.
By physics, or as our author calls it, mental physics. We're doing a deep dive into the 11 Universal Laws of Success by Bob Proctor.
Ah, yes. Bob Proctor.
Now, before everyone tunes out because they recognize that name from The Secret.
Which is fair. A lot of people really associate him with that era of manifestation pop culture.
Exactly, the whole vision board your way to a Ferrari kind of thing. But here's why I wanted to cover this specific material. Proctor actually criticizes The Secret in here.
He does.
He basically says that movie gave people a car with like one wheel and then just expected them to drive it.
It's a great point. He argues that The Secret introduced the law of attraction, but it completely left out the operating system that actually makes that law work. It was just incomplete.
So our mission today is to look under the hood. We are not talking about positive vibes. We are talking about Proctor's claim that success is governed by laws as precise as gravity.
And that most of us are breaking them without even knowing it.
It's not personal, it's just mechanical. If you break them, you crash.
Exactly.
We're going to cover the mechanics of the brain, which he calls an electronic switching station, which I thought was a wild metaphor.
That's a great one.
We'll look at the difference between what he calls mental activity and actual thinking.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to a part that, I'll be honest, it unsettled me a bit.
Let me guess. The genetic part.
The idea that your beliefs and even your failures might be genetically inherited.
That's the part that usually stops people in their tracks. The idea that your bank account balance might be tied to, like, your great-grandfather's trauma.
So yeah, let's unpack this. Proctor starts with a pretty heavy critique of the average person. He says most people do not master their minds. They are used by them.
He's actually quoting an author there, Archibald MacLeish, who said, we have to use our thinking faculty and take care that it does not use you.
And Proctor's argument is that 90% of people are just being used by their own minds.
Mm-hmm.
What does that actually look like, though, being used by your mind?
It means you're purely reactive. I mean, think about a typical morning. You wake up, you check your phone, the news is bad, so you feel anxious.
Right.
The weather's gray, so you feel low energy. Your boss sends some passive-aggressive emails, so you feel defensive. In that whole scenario, you're not actually thinking.
You're just a reflex.
You're just a biological machine responding to inputs.
Yeah.
Exactly. Proctor uses that analogy of a thermometer versus a thermostat.
Okay, I have to stop you there. That is like the oldest cliche in the self-help book.
I know. It sounds like it.
Be the thermostat, not the thermometer. Is he just repackaging that old chestnut?
It seems like it on the surface, but he frames it differently. He's not talking about attitude. He's talking about frequency. A thermometer just reflects the energy of the room. A thermostat generates a frequency that changes the room.
Ah, okay.
He's arguing that most people are energetically completely dependent on what they see with their eyes.
So we're just trapped by our senses.
We're trapped by our current results. If your bank account is empty, you look at it, you feel broke, and that feeling just perpetuates the state of being broke.
Yeah.
It's a feedback loop.
Right.
He quotes Aldous Huxley, who said, "There's only one corner of the universe that we can change, and that's our own self."
That sounds so obvious, but it's actually really hard to do, to just ignore the empty bank account that is staring you in the face and decide to be wealthy. I mean, that feels like delusion.
And that's where his ideal versus practical concept comes in. He's not telling you to ignore the bills.
Okay, good.
You have to deal with the practical reality.
Yeah.
But you cannot let that practical reality dictate your internal frequency. You have to hold the ideal, the vision of the solution on the inside while you're, sweeping the floor on the outside.
So it's almost like a split consciousness.
It's mastery. It's refusing to let the outside world touch the dial on your internal switching station.
Okay, let's talk about that dial, because this is where we get into the physics of his argument. We have to address the law of attraction, but you said earlier he thinks it's, what, a secondary law?
Right, and this is where The Secret got it wrong, or at least where it was oversimplified. Everyone thinks attraction is the main event. You think a thought, you attract a thing.
Yeah.
Proctor says no. Attraction is a result. The primary law is the law of vibration.
Okay, walk me through the difference.
Well, the law of vibration states that nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything is vibrating at a specific frequency. That's pretty much basic quantum physics at this point.
Sure, like the chair you're sitting on is just energy vibrating so fast it feels solid.
Exactly. We learned that in high school.
Mm.
So Proctor takes that and he applies it to us. He views the brain as an electronic switching station. This is the technical mechanism he's talking about.
I want to dig into that specific phrase, switching station. It implies the brain isn't creating the energy.
Precisely. And this is such a crucial distinction. You are not your brain. You have a brain. The brain is the tool. It's the selector dial.
Okay.
When you choose a thought, let's say you consciously choose a thought of abundance, you are using your brain to activate a specific cluster of cells.
So I flipped the switch to abundance FM.
You flip the switch in the brain, but, and this is the part people miss, that electrical signal in the brain then moves into the body. It changes the vibration of the entire instrument, your body.
So the brain is the remote control, but the body is the TV screen.
Or better yet, the brain is the tuner and the body is the magnet. The vibration of the body is what dictates what you attract.
Ah.
This explains why you can sit there and think positive thoughts all day, but if your stomach is in knots and you feel scared, you will not attract abundance.
Because the machine is still vibrating at fear.
Exactly. Your switch is flipped to positive, but the actual machine is vibrating at fear.
That actually explains a lot. It explains why affirmations can feel like you're just lying to yourself.
Yes, you're saying the words, but your body isn't buying it.
The vibration hasn't changed.
You're just painting open rest.
Mm.
Proctor says the feeling is the vibration. If you don't feel it, you aren't vibrating it. And if you aren't vibrating it, you can't attract it.
So this brings us to the problem of thinking. Because Proctor seems to believe we are terrible at using the switching station. In fact, he kind of insulted me in the text.
Huh. Mental activity versus thinking debate.
Yeah. I mean, he lists things like thinking about the weather or who won the election or what happened in the game last night. And he says, that isn't thinking. That is just mental activity.
Right.
And I'm sitting there reading this thinking, excuse me, I think about the election a lot. That requires some brain power.
I know, it feels a little dismissive. But look at his definition. He argues that if you're just replaying information you heard or recalling a memory, you aren't creating anything.
You're just pressing play on a tape recorder.
That's mental activity.
Yeah.
Real thinking to him is generative. It's taking raw energy and shaping it into a new idea that didn't exist before. It's the mental effort required to change that vibration we were just talking about.
And he says it's hard work, which is why so few people do it. He calls it the tool for the quantum leap.
Yes. This is the promise, isn't it?
To turn your annual income into your monthly income. I mean, come on. That sounds like the tagline for a scam.
It does. It absolutely does. But look at the logic behind it. If you're operating on a linear model, I work a bit harder, I get slightly more results. That's just normal cause and effect.
Right.
But if you change the resonance of the machine, if you start vibrating at the level of the result you want, Proctor argues you bypass that linear struggle. You start attracting opportunities that were literally invisible to you before.
So you're saying it's exponential because you're leveraging a law instead of just using muscle.
Right. It's the difference between trying to push a car uphill versus just turning on the engine. The engine is the law.
But here's where I get stuck, and I think this is where most listeners probably get stuck. If the brain is just a switch, and we all want to be rich and happy, why is it so damn hard to just flip the switch?
Yeah.
Why can't I just wake up tomorrow, decide to vibrate at millionaire frequency, and be done with it?
Because the switch is rusted shut.
Rusted by what?
Genetics.
Okay, this is the part of the material that took a sharp left turn for me. We're not just talking about childhood trauma or bad habits. Proctor goes straight to DNA.
He does. He asks, why do you believe what you believe? You might think it's because you read a book or learned it somewhere, but he argues that almost all of your core beliefs, the deep stuff, are inherited.
Inherited like eye color.
Inherited like survival instincts. He says these beliefs are built right into the genes at the moment of conception. So imagine you have ancestors who lived through the Great Depression or a war or just extreme scarcity. Their survival literally depended on believing resources are scarce or safety is better than risk.
And that belief gets coded into the machine.
Exactly. So fast forward to today. You want to make that quantum leap. You want to start a business. Your conscious mind, the switch, says, let's do this.
Right.
But your genetic coding, The wiring in the walls is screaming, danger, scarcity, stop.
So it's not just self-sabotage, it's an actual biological conflict.
It's an energetic conflict. You are trying to vibrate at a frequency of abundance, but your DNA is vibrating at a frequency of survival. And the DNA usually wins.
That feels incredibly fatalistic, though. If it's in my genes, am I just screwed? Sorry, my great-grandpa was poor, so I guess I have to be.
No, and that's the whole point of this deep dive, right? He isn't saying this to depress you. He's saying it to diagnose the problem. Most people try to change their lives with willpower. I'm just going to work harder. But they never address the genetic coding.
They're pressing the gas pedal while the parking brake is on.
Precisely. Proctor says you have to consciously analyze your beliefs. You have to look at that fear and ask, is this actually mine? Or is this an echo? He says when you do that, when you really challenge those old views, they fall to pieces because they aren't true for you now. They were true for your ancestor in 1930.
It's like wearing a heavy winter coat in the middle of July because your grandfather was cold.
And then wondering why you're sweating and miserable? Just take the coat off.
So the work isn't the hustle. The work is the deprogramming.
The work is the alignment.
Yeah.
And he brings in a heavy hitter to back this up. Dr. Werner von Braun.
The rocket scientist. Yeah, that was a surprising cameo.
It's a brilliant move, though. You have the father of the space program saying that the natural laws of the universe are so precise that we can send a ship to the moon and time the landing to a fraction of a second.
It's just math. It's not luck.
It's absolute precision. And Proctor's whole argument is, do you really think the laws of the mind are any less precise than the laws of aerodynamics?
He's saying the universe doesn't have a close enough setting.
Right. We don't struggle to land on the moon because the system is rigged or because gravity is having a bad day. If the rocket crashes, it's because we violated a law of physics. Proctor is saying that if your life is crashing in your relationships, money, health, it's not bad luck. It's a violation of law.
That is harsh.
It's incredibly harsh. It removes all victimhood from the equation.
It's totally binary. You win or you lose.
When we violate the law, we lose. When we live in harmony with the law, we win. That's the quote. But if you flip it over, if it's that precise, it also means it's predictable.
If you learn the code, you can hack the system.
Exactly. If you understand the operating system, if you clean up that genetic rust, and you master the switching station and align your vibration, the result must follow. It's not a gamble anymore. It's engineering.
So to bring this all in for a landing, we started with that 1% statistic, this idea that success is so unevenly distributed.
And we've kind of realized it's not because the 1% are just luckier. It's because consciously or not, they are operating in harmony with these laws. They aren't letting their current reality dictate their vibration.
They're being the thermostat, not the thermometer.
They're thinking those deep generative thoughts, not just replaying the news. And they've likely, whether through how they were raised or through their own hard work, overcome that scarcity programming that holds so many of us back.
Proctor mentions one last principle near the end of this material, givers gain, which seems to contradict the whole selfish billionaire trope.
It actually fits the laws perfectly, though. If everything is vibration and energy, then flow is essential. You can't hoard energy. You have to release it to get more back. So sharing this knowledge, giving value, it's part of the mechanism of receiving.
So if you're listening to this and you're feeling, I don't know, a mix of inspired and maybe a little called out.
Oh, that's probably the point.
It's definitely the point. We always like to leave you with a specific thought to chew on. For me, the thing I just can't shake is that genetic piece.
It's the most haunting part of the whole thing, for sure.
So here's the question for you to think about. If your beliefs are largely inherited, if that little voice in your head telling you it's too risky or you aren't good enough is actually just a genetic recording from a scared ancestor,
then how much of your personality is actually you? And which of those inherited truths are you willing to let fall to pieces so you can finally start living a life that actually belongs to you?
It's a scary question, but I guess you can't fix the machine until you know who built it. Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you next time.